Good morning, everyone. My name is Kay Kaltoff, and welcome to a Stamp and Chat with Kay. It's been kind of a rough couple days, I'm not gonna lie. Yesterday, my daughter came home from work, and she changed clothes. She didn't say anything. And then all at once, she comes up to me with big tears in her eyes, and she says, "I need a hug." And I thought, oh no, things at work are really going downhill. But it wasn't related to work at all. Her venue closed. She's getting married this fall, and her venue closed through the end of 2020. So they have nowhere to go for a wedding reception. So they have decided to cancel the wedding, and they're going to postpone it until October of 2021. Which is a long time from now, and they were so excited to get married. She has the dress. We were planning invitations and bridal shower celebrations, and actually, I must share with you the card that we're making today in Casey's wedding colors is the card I was going to give her from her mom and dad at her bridal shower, which now won't happen. So I know that lots and lots of people are in this very same situation with lots and lots of things being canceled. And I was always pretty empathetic to it, but I thought, oh, October, it's so far away. Surely that won't cancel. Surely we'll be able to pull something off. But it didn't work out. So yesterday was kind of a day of not getting a lot done. Just one of those days where we kind of grouped as a family to try and brainstorm and figure things out. And then, sadly, it just seemed like things were getting worse. Of course, I have a daughter now in California, so we were doing a lot of phone calls. But then, towards the end of the day, we all sort of kind of got a lift and decided, you know what, this is okay. There's going to be silver linings in this. There's a reason for this. So I don't know, we're continuing to brainstorm about it. We're looking at different options to hold a venue. And we're going to keep our fingers crossed that we'll be able to pull this off in October of 2021. So, yeah. And then another reason I didn't get anything done yesterday is we had our financial planner over. Steve and I are looking at retirement, and it's not so far away anymore. Oh my gosh. So anyway, we had our planner over for a couple of hours yesterday afternoon, and it's starting to seem more real, that's for sure. Don't worry, I'm not retiring from Stampin' Up. That'll probably never happen, but it'll be fun to have Steve actually retire from his job, and we kind of have a plan in place now for how that's going to happen. So, good morning. Oh, goodness. Well, I tell you what, I am going to go ahead and get started. I can't even look at comments because some of these are long comments as you guys are sending me some good notes on this whole wedding thing. But I tell you what, I'm going to show you the card. It looks like this, and I know a lot of you tuned in special because you saw the words Funfold, which always means like, hey, she's doing something different, because you know me, I don't do a lot different. So here it is, Funfold card, and it opens up like this. Isn't that pretty? So I'm going to share with you exactly how to do this. I've got all the measurements ready, and it's going to be lots of fun. We're going to make lemons out of lemonade, right? So I may just go ahead and figure out a way to use this card anyway. I will tell you, I did give this card to my top 10. So every month I create a special top 10 card for my downline. It just so happened it coincided as being kind of a shower card for my daughter. But this went out to all of the demonstrators in my group who were in top 10 of sales. So they got this special card from me. So I'm going to turn the camera down and we'll go ahead and get started. All right, as I mentioned, here they are, and we are using some things that I want to share some information about because this is really, really important. The stamp set that I'm using, for those of you that watch me regularly, you are probably so sick of this because I have just been grabbing it off my shelf constantly lately. and it is called Woven Heirlooms. One of the reasons I am promoting this stamp set like crazy is because it can be bundled. The bundle is amazing. It's these beautiful dies that create cutouts for a kind of like a picture frame. I mean, how rare is that? I've rarely seen anything this gorgeous. And the best part is it has 2 coordinating embossing folders. And do you know what? Stampin' Up! Is retiring this set. These folders and these frames are not going to be carried over into the new catalog. And so I've had tons and tons of customers who, like me, kind of panicked about that. And we are getting our set to keep forever because we would never want to sell these. Or never get rid of them because we can use them in scrapbooking and card making, and they're just fabulous. So I'm going to share with you what they look like just up close so you can really see how pretty this is. This is the oval cutout, and this is the embossed oval cutout. So you can see how beautiful this looks. If you want to kind of make it look like a real picture frame, what I recommend doing is stamping your sentiment or putting your image on your paper and then cutting it out so that it's kind of flush with the back here and putting dimensionals all around the frame. That will keep it kind of popped up a little bit and away from your card or your scrapbook page, and it just makes it look stunning. So it's an absolutely beautiful way of creating and crafting and making things. And of course it works beautifully with those heritage pictures that I know you guys want to do something with, because I do too. And I am keeping this bundle because of that reason. Here is a square frame for those square photos, or square, you know, when you're trying to square up a sentiment. Of course it could go like this as well. And then again, these are the 3D embossing folders that put that beautiful really old-fashioned, vintage-looking embellishment all around on these frames. So again, here's the frames, here's the dies, and these are not sticking around. You can still get them through June 2nd. I highly recommend it. Of course, the stamp set is staying around, so that's a good thing. And let me go ahead and we'll get started with our actual card making that we're going to do today. So the first thing I have is Casey's Wedding colors, which are kind of a gold and like an ivory / white. And then Mary Merlot, she decided that was the wedding color she was going with. So all of her bridesmaids eventually someday when we have this wedding are going to wear this color. And she's going to keep this color kind of as an accent in her bouquet and just other places around the wedding ceremony. So we're just starting with 2 pieces of Mary Merlot paper cut at 5 1/4 by 5 1/2. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to add our fun fold, and that is a 2 1/8 by 11 inch panel of paper scored at 5 1/2. So you get kind of this little, oh, it's kind of like a Dutch door fold, or a little, yeah, like a Dutch door, I guess. So it's just a small panel like this. So we're going to work with this first. I'm going to set these aside for the moment. And I should tell you what the giveaway is because it's pretty good. We're going to be accenting this wonderful card with our gilded gems. And this will be the giveaway. So on Tuesday, I'll draw 2 names from the people who comment and share this post, and I'll divide this into half, and one person will get 1/2, the other person will get the other half, and you will both get one of these pretty cards. All right, so thank you so much in advance for sharing. You guys do an awesome job of that, and I'm very humbled by your enthusiasm for this channel. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take a whole bunch of designer series paper, and we are using an early order offer, which is the Ornate Garden designer series paper. Now, the nice thing about this paper is it has some gold foil on it, which makes it a specialty paper, but I'll just page through. So we have regular sheets of designer series paper, but then sometimes on the back you will find some gold foil. So we'll be using this one, which has these daisies intermixed with some posies. And here's, oh, isn't that pretty with the gold? Oh, I would never think to put gold with mint macaron, but of course Stampin' Up! Thinks of all those things. And then on the other side of this one, we have kind of all these little posies. So we're going to be using those two. And I have them already cut to size. So if you're taking notes, it's 2 by 5 3/8. And we're going to be using 2 of them on one card. So I'm going to make sure I get these, you know, make sure we get the right design with the right card. You can always tell by looking at the back. The front is a little bit more tricky. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use multi-purpose liquid glue because I want a little bit of wiggle room. We have the most incredibly narrow borders today, so we're going to need that wiggle room. All right, so we're going to just take the little knob and a glue that gets on the end of this, pull that away, and then we're just going to add a little tiny edging all the way around here. And we're going to set this right here and wiggle it into place. And you can see there's just the tiniest little border. Okay, and then we're going to take this one and we're going to do the same thing for the inside panel. Again, it's just the skinniest little border, you guys. If you would put this on with snail, I think you would be hard pressed to get it on there just perfectly because it's very skinny. So again, using the multi-purpose liquid glue, we have that little bit of wiggle room. So there's one setup, and then we're going to go ahead and do the other setup just real quick like, and maybe I'll have a minute here to kind of look up and see what you guys are all commenting on. Oh, welcome! Luz is one of my wonderful customers. She's saying that she loves anything that has a little bit of gold in it. Well, you're in luck because this card certainly does. Oh, good to have you all here. Thank you. And so many of you are sharing. I really appreciate that because we want to share our wonderful creative hobby with as many people as possible because I know when I was told about Stampin' Up, it opened up a whole new door of creativity in my life. I was kind of one of those boring accounting people, didn't think I had an ounce of creativity in me. And lo and behold, it's something that's totally changed my life. If you guys have paid attention, Stampin' Up is a pretty big part of my life. All right, so the next thing we're going to do, now that we have these panels prepared, the next thing we're going to do is we need to get some dies out. So again, this is using the Ornate Garden product suite, and these are the, oh, do I have the name back here? No, I don't have the name for this. I think it's the Ornate Borders dies. I think so. I'm sure somebody will correct me immediately if I'm wrong. But this is the little die that we're going to use. And then we're also going to use these 3 little flower dies. They're so cute and they really coordinate well with the Designer Series paper. And what you want to start with, so we're going to use some gold foil here for accenting. Oh, thank you, Monica. Monica said, it's called Ornate Borders. Thank you. Okay, and it's 1 1/4 by 5 1/2. That's the gold foil paper that we're going to use. And you just lay this over the top. And you don't have to be real fussy about where it goes, but you just want to make sure that you have enough of a border down here to attach it to your project, okay? So I already did that in advance, and here they are, my 2 little foil borders that we're going to need for our card. And where are we putting these? Well, because we don't have to worry about glue lines on this, we can just go ahead and add our glue to the actual foil. Normally I don't do this, but we want, again, a little bit of wiggle room. So what we're going to do is we're going to take one of our little openings that we've already prepared, and we're going to set it right over the top of that beautiful cutout with the ornate borders. We're going to set that up so that, and you know what, I think I cut it very perfectly, but if you don't cut it perfectly, oh my goodness, I really cut this well. Most of the time I have a little overhang, but I don't even have that. So where did I put this? Let me show you up close. When I put this on the border, I'm hiding all of these little circles so that we're getting just that bit of trim. Isn't that pretty? Okay, So we're going to do the exact same thing to the other one. And I am shocked that is looking good. Really good. Okay, so we're going to do the next one real quick here while my luck still holds. I'm going to take the multi-purpose liquid glue. We're going to add just a teeny tiny little border or a little line all the way around, and then we're just going to go like this, scoot it into place. And again, we're hiding all those little circles. Now, if you don't mind those little circles, go ahead and use them. Okay, now this one I didn't have cut quite as perfectly because you'll see there's a little edge over here, so you know. Simple to fix. Just flip it over. Well, actually, you don't have to flip this one over, but just trim it so it's straight. I mean, it was a barely noticeable edge. There it is, the little tiny sliver that was off. You probably can't even see that. But you know what? I'm doing these cards for you guys, and they got to be perfect. Okay, so then the next thing we're going to do, this is really a ridiculously easy card to make. I think we should do our stamping. So we've got our Mary Merlot. We have a beautiful stamp from the Woven Heirlooms. Reminder, get your bundle while you can. And then we're going to take our cutouts. Oh, yes, we have all kinds of cutouts. So let me show you which cutout we used for the white. So I'm grabbing it here. This is these are our layering circles, and the one I'm using is the third largest, so it's this one. So if you were to put them all biggest to smallest, this would be the third one down from the biggest. And that's the one I use to cut out the Whisper White. So I have all my Whisper Whites here. And I'm cutting 4 of them because I'm making 2 cards. So 2 of them will have nothing on them, but the outside ones will have this sentiment. So then just take your sentiment. I love stamping sentiments in circles. Do you guys know that if you stamp a sentiment in a circle, there's literally no way to get it crooked? Oh my gosh, that is like the coolest thing, don't you think? So then when you put it on your card, you just get to straighten it out. Exactly perfect. Ta-da, there we go. So when I do big events with my downline or with my customers, I love to do circles because nobody can mess it up. Okay, so I actually don't want to touch these because they're just the teeniest little bit wet. I don't want to smear it, and I'm not going to take a chance with cards that I'm giving to you guys. So I have some pre-stamp that I did right before the video. So these are ready to go. So what we're going to do is we're going to be layering these onto 2 gold scalloped circles. Again, we're getting the layering circles back into the picture, and the one we're using is the third largest. So it looks like this. It's the third biggest. So if you laid out all the scallops, it would be the third one down from the biggest. Okay. Then I, again, am going to take a little bit of glue because, again, this is a really skinny line and I don't want to mess it up. So I'm barely putting any glue on this, barely, but just enough to wiggle it into place perfectly. And there it is. And we're going to do the exact same thing over here. You guys, do not glop your glue on, because if you do, especially on Whisper White paper like we're using, you may leave glue lines, which doesn't look so great. All right, here it is. These are done. Then the next thing we're going to do is set these out of the way, and we're going to attach the front, these panels, to our card. Again, we're just going to use some multi-purpose liquid glue, and I'm going to go ahead and glue both of these at the same time because I can. So we're going to flip that down and just going to line that up onto the bottom of that 5 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch panel. Do the same thing over here. And that looks good. And I love, again, using the glue because it gives me that tiny bit of wiggle room. Okay, here it is. Look at how good those look. All right, then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take those 2 other circles that I mentioned using the third largest straight edge, and two more of these gold panels, and once again, using the most extremely minute amount of glue. Whoops, I put it on the wrong side. Excuse me. While I get another one. Did you guys know that when you run things through a die cutting machine, there's a front and a back to your circles? You can tell because if you run your finger along it, there's a little bit of a sharp edge. That's the back. That's the side you want to put your glue on. So I just hadn't checked that in advance and almost messed up. So again, this most extremely tiny amount of glue, because you guys know I hardly ever use glue on Whisper White, but the only reason I am is because I want myself to have just the tiniest bit of wiggle room, because look how skinny this border is. It's the skinniest border ever. All right, there we go. But you know what? Skinny is elegant on this particular card. All right, then the next thing we're going to do is we need to somehow figure out how to get this right here and this one underneath it without getting it off center. So I have a trick for you. So the first thing we're going to do is I want to tell you that if you're doing this at home, you want to look at where your sentiment love is, because that is going to be our key line, what we're lining things up with. So when we're doing this, we want the love to sit straight, which is going to guarantee that the rest of our image will be straight. And we want it to sit right above where that designer series paper is. You can get really picky and even count your little scallops here, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to keep my fingers crossed that I have this pretty centered. And the other thing you want to do is make sure that you only put glue. So what I do is I take my finger, kind of go like this, and then as I'm flipping it over, I know that my love is right here, and I don't want anything above that section. So once again, using multi-purpose liquid glue, we're just putting glue at the very bottom where that love is. We're going to set it on our card and wiggle it into place so that it looks pretty centered. That looks pretty centered. I like it. And we're going to do the exact same thing to the other card that we're making. So again, holding I kind of just grab it like this. See? Flip it over. And I know that my glue has to stay in this section. And I'm not using very much again. And then we're going to flip it back. We're going to set it on our card. And then you have just the littlest, tiniest amount of room to kind of wiggle it into place right where you want it so it looks nice and centered. And I think that looks really good. And you just, and then just kind of just double check to make sure your sentiment is on nice and square to the whole card. Then, how in the world are we going to get this card on? Well, I want to show you on the original cards that I made. I didn't want it to look, okay, so now this is where the majority of people and I tend to differ. Because I like things really loose and flowing. I do not like things just like so much adhesive on it that it's just so tight and it just doesn't look relaxed and it doesn't look very elegant. So what I want to do is I'm going to make sure that everything about my card looks really relaxed, really elegant, really, I mean, I don't know how you can be relaxed and, I don't know how you can be perfectly elegant and casual at the same time, but that's sort of the look I'm going for. So when it comes to this, I don't want to glue this all down. So I'm going to actually use the same technique that I used on the front. Just going to imagine where my love would be, flip it around, and we're going to put the glue in the exact same spot. And then we are going to open up our card. We're going to flip it over. And we're going to line it up from the back side so that all the scallops are perfectly lined up. See how I'm doing that? Then I'm going to take the card. It's hard to grab. There we go. Double checking to make sure all of my scallops are in line. Then I can just close the card. Press, press, press. Flip it over. Make sure everything is still lined up. And there it is. So I only have the glue on this bottom portion here. So I'll give you another chance to look at it. Actually, I think there's even a better way. I'm sure some of you have already figured that out. Sometimes it takes me a while. Sometimes I have to do things multiple times to figure out what the heck. So what you want, this is going to be way easier. I have no idea why I didn't think of it before. And when I had my assistant put all of these together, I made her do it the hard way. This would be the easy way. So open up your card, take your little scallop circle, get it all lined up first before you even put glue on, and then you have a very obvious spot of where to put the glue. I do not know how I didn't think of this before. So then, keeping your glue below that line of where your card opens and closes, then you can go ahead, take your other side, flip it straight down, give it a little press, and then flip it over and just double check to make sure everything is perfectly lined up. And of course it is. There we go. Now, this card looks pretty good, but it is going to just look spectacular in about a minute. So, what I mentioned before is we're using these 3 little flowers. They're so pretty. So, you're going to need 6 flowers total. 2 big, 2 medium, 2 little. And I've got some cut out here. So, we're going to take our big ones and put the big one on first. And I'm just going to open up my mini glue dots here and put that on. So I've got the 2 big ones. So we can just go ahead and put all of these onto our roll of glue dots. This is like seriously fun stuff, you guys. I mean, doing this, I don't know, it just sort of makes me happy. I don't know why, but I love putting things on my roll of glue dots. Then the little ones follow next. There we go. Then take off your excess, and here we have our little flowers all ready to go onto our card. So then to put them on the card, because I have such giant fingers and I can never see where things are going, I use my take your pick tool. Do you know my hand, oh my gosh, I just lost one of these. Hold on. Do you know my hands are actually larger than my dad's hands? I don't know how that happened, but it's the truth. And they're the exact same size as my husband's hands, which is just crazy. But I will say that on my side of the family, we have some very, very tall people. My nephews are over 6 feet. One of them is actually 6'5", one of my brother's kids. All right, so I think there is some hereditary things going on. Okay, so this is the card, just to remind you what it looks like, so we know where we're putting these pretty little flowers. So I'm taking the biggest flower first, and we're going to drop that down here to the bottom right of our sentiment. And again, works great. You can do both sides here. Beautiful. Then take your medium flower, and you're going to tuck that here in the corner. So again, do that on both sides here. And then we're going to take this little small flower and just tuck that right up here on both sides. Oh my gosh, we just went from great to wow. Then to really make it beautifully blingy and pretty, remember this is the giveaway for commenting, sharing, letting me know where you're watching from, and I will do a half pack to each winner along with the 2 cards that we're making. So what I'm doing is I'm using the gilded gems, and I'm only going to use the large and the mediums. So I'm going to take 2 large ones. So again, I just love to use my take your pick tool. Then I can get it right where I want it. So I'll put a large gem on the large flower and a large gem on the medium flower, and then take a medium gem and put it on the small flower. Those are about the perfect size to cover up all the holes that you see in this little flower. So we're going to do the same thing over here. Large, large, and medium. These are the most beautiful gems I think Stampin' Up! Has ever come out with. They're available to order now, and I think they're actually in stock again. All right, here they are, the 2 cards that we made today. Thank you guys so much for joining me. It has been a true work of art today, a true pleasure, and you have no idea how much my heart goes into this project, especially with so many things happening in this world that we live in. So I will be very, very happy to give these 2 cards away to our winners on Tuesday. You guys have a wonderful day, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye, everybody.